What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some new green Digimon that we need to be having a little bit of a chat about. We are getting close to having looked at all the cards from X-Record. I am very excited about this, but we are not done yet, so let's start off having a little bit of a look at a level 3 Elecmon. And we don't need to spend a huge amount of time talking about Elecmon here, because it's not a good card, I think is fair to say. It is a free cost to play normally, 0 cost to Digivolve, 4,000 power level 3. And look, I know that 4,000 power is high for a level 3. I completely understand this. And in fact, if you go over to digimoncard.dev, who did provide some of our translations along with the lovely folks over at Ensan Gaming, and we take a little bit of a look here, we can see that in terms of free cost level 3 green Digimon, the only one that can actually beat it is the Pomamon from BT6, but that doesn't count because it's 1 cost to Digivolve and we're not doing this. This is basically exactly the same as the Floramon from BT5, and I think it's fair to say that that is not a card about which many people are getting excited. There's just nothing really going on here. If I'm playing a level 3, I want to have a good skill, and there ain't no good skill here, or I want to have cheapness. I want to be cheap to play, and we haven't got any of that going on here as well. So if you're telling me that the only bonus I've got is a slight increase in power, and we all know that going up to 4,000 power doesn't really matter, because most of the hate for rookies that is going to go and board wipe and things of that nature, they generally target 4,000 and 5,000 power anyway. So, not to be rude, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like Elecmon. I don't think there's really anything good about it at all. But we do have another vanilla Digimon we need to have a little bit of a look at. It is the slightly harder to pronounce Zamilmon. Probably. I don't know. That'll do. And it's a little bit sad, right? Because this is the first time we've ever seen this Digimon in the Digimon TCG. It is making its Digimon TCG debut, and it's not good. 8 cost to play normally, 2 cost to Digivolve, 9,000 power. Now, I like this a lot more than I like Elecmon, and there's 2 reasons for it. 2 cost to Digivolve is cheaper than normal, the average is free, and 9,000 power is higher than normal. What 9,000 power does is it basically means that outside of a few rare exceptions in level 5s, you will be able to survive when you're attacking the stack, unless you hit a level 6 or 7. Unless you hit a level 6 or 7, you should expect to be surviving. And actually, against some decks, that is going to be pretty good. That is going to be enough, basically. Against some decks, they're not going to be playing that many 6s and 7s, so you will literally be able to attack the stack knowing you're going to survive. That's cool. I like that. There are clearly bonuses to be had here, and it is cheaper to Digivolve, but Green have got so many ways to Digivolve up a bit more cheaply and a bit more easily that this is still not a Digimon that I can wholeheartedly recommend. It's not like Elecmon. Elecmon is just bad, and I make no real excuses. This, I can see the point of it. I can see why somebody would want to play it, but as someone who predominantly plays green, there is no way I'm taking out any of my level 5s to pop this in anytime soon. I just don't think it's good enough. But if you want to look at some Digimon that actually do have skills, how about we stick to some insects and we have a look at Kokuwamon X Antibody. Incidentally, shout out to the artwork here with Palmon doing something in the background. This is quite a beautiful card. 3 cost to play normally, 0 cost to Digivolve, 2,000 power, which is standard for a level 3 that's got a skill. But the good news is, if you want to Digivolve, you can do so from Kokuwamon for 0 memory. And look, we've been doing this for a little while now. It's an X-Antibody card. So we know that it's going to be able to Digivolve from the non-X-Antibody if you just pay a single memory. Cool. The only green Kokuwamon we've got, incidentally, is the one from BT1, but it says that if you've got a level 6, if you've gone all the way up to level 6, you get security attack +1, and actually security attack +1 is pretty good, so hard to argue with that, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds alright by me. And you're not paying any memory to Digivolve, and you're drawing a card when you Digivolve, so that's quite cool. Plus then, we've got a skill when you play or Digivolve, either will do. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and you can add a Digimon with Insectoid or Machine in its traits, and an X Antibody option card to your hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Bearing in mind, when it says X Antibody, and we've talked about this a few times, but it does bear repeating, it literally means the option card X Antibody. Not a Digimon with X Antibody in its traits or anything like that. We literally mean X Antibody. That's very important. Okay. And this is cool. In terms of consistency, this works really rather nicely. You can play it as a free cost, which is quite cheap. You can Digivolve it. I do need to remind you here, remember it's a level 3 with a Digivolution skill, which we don't generally see, because level 3s don't generally have them, because Digivolution skills only work in the battle area, not in the breeding area. What that means is if you want this Digivolution skill to fire, and you should, it's a good skill, you have to Digivolve it from a Kokuamon on the battle area, not from a level 2 in the breeding area. The breeding area, it's not going to work, alright? That's very important. I think I've made that pretty gosh darned clear. So there we go. And now there's a reason to do this. This works. This makes sense to me, and I'm totally in favour of it. Because essentially, you Digivolve for 0, you've got that really nice inheritable skill that will give you extra security attack when you get to your level 6, and then you end up having this skill that makes it easier to find things like your level 6, and I'm in, ladies and gentlemen. I am totally in. But then we move up to level 4, and we've got Kuwagamon X Antibody, and we've got similar things going on. 5 cost to play normally, 2 cost to Digivolve, 6,000 power, which is really rather nice. The 5 cost to play normally I don't like, but the 2 cost to Digivolve is standard, and the 6,000 power is slightly higher than normal, so yeah, okay. I can get on board with this, ladies and gentlemen. I can totally get on board. And yes, you can Digivolve from Kuwagamon, and you can do it without spending any memory whatsoever. That is totally in your power. You are more than welcome to do so. When it comes to Kuwagamon, we do actually have a single option. We've had a few of these, but in terms of one with an inheritable skill, we've got a single option. It's the one from EX1. On your turn, when this Digimon deletes one of your opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, one of your opponent's suspended Digimon doesn't unsuspend during their next unsuspend phase. And we'll get there in a second, but this is a brilliant option that combos really nicely with this. I do need to very quickly give a shout out to another Kuwagamon, which doesn't have an inheritable skill, but it's the one that came around in BT1, because when you play it, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Again, I don't know if this is necessarily amazing, and it's a 4 cost to play, which is quite expensive, but there is certainly an argument that you would want to play this to suspend a Digimon, and then you can Digivolve up from there. The thing is, we have an inheritable skill on Kuwagamon X Antibody. On your turn, when this Digimon has Insect in its traits, this Digimon gains Piercing, which is clearly a phenomenal skill that we love very much. That is to say, when you delete an opponent's Digimon in battle and survive, you get to also perform a security check. But remember, I just told you about the Kuwagamon from EX1. And when you delete a Digimon in battle and survive, one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon doesn't unsuspend during their next unsuspend phase. You basically make one of their Digimon take a turn off, which is brilliant. And generally speaking, the problem with skills like this is that you have to choose between either taking out a Digimon and then you get your skill, or taking out a security card, bearing in mind, taking out security cards is how you win the game. And the ideal situation is that you end up with Piercing, and then it doesn't matter, you don't have to make that choice, because you take out a Digimon, activate your skill, and then you still get to perform a security check as well, and life is good. And that's what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. That's why Piercing is so good when you combine it with this. And sure, we've got a bunch of Digimon that in green that naturally have Piercing, but now you can still do that if you want, but you don't have to. You can go for any green Digimon, as long as it's Insectoid, of course, and you get that old Piercing, and I am totally okay with it. Now, we do need to quickly remind ourselves, we've talked about these before, but Okumon X Antibody Digivolve some Okuamon for 0 memory. When you Digivolve, if you got Okuamon or X-Antibody in your Digivolution cards, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then if this Digimon is attacking, you can switch the target of the attack to one of your opponent's suspended Digimon. And on your turn, when you would Digivolve into a Digimon with Insectoid in its trace, you reduce the cost by 1. Quite an interesting, fun card. And then we should quickly remind ourselves about Grandis Kuwagamon. And actually, while we're here, they have gone and revealed the secret rare of it, the alternate art. I will be showing you all of these in the near future when we can see them all. But, you know, while we're here and Grandis Kuwagamon has been revealed, this seems like a good opportunity to show you the alternate art. It's kind of beautiful, honestly. And this can Digivolve from Grand Kuwagamon for 1. When you Digivolve, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then if this Digimon is attacking, you can switch the target to one of your opponent's suspended Digimon. On your turn, you get 4,000 power, so you're actually a 16,000 power Digimon. And at the end of your attack, once per turn, if this Digimon has Grand Kuwagamon or X-Antibody in its Digivolution cards, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and unsuspend this Digimon. Bearing in mind, Grandis Kuwagamon's end of attack skill lets you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then we've got the inheritable skill on the Kuwagamon from EX1 that I showed you a moment ago, which will allow you to pick a Digimon to not unsuspend. So clearly, this works quite nicely here, that essentially you get to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and then stop them unsuspending. That's a pretty cool combo, ladies and gentlemen. That's rather nice indeed. The insects are here, and I, for one, kind of like it. And actually, while we're here, I don't know if we've talked about Motomon yet. I don't know if we've gone through that in one of these videos. I don't think we actually have. So now is a decent chance just to quickly finish off having a little bit of a look at the Motomon here. And no, I'm having a look. I don't believe I featured this in a video yet, which is very mean and rude of me. The good news is, we're literally doing a video right now about Green Insect Digimon. This seems like a pretty gosh darn nice point to put it in. And the reason essentially is because it's got an inheritable skill, whereby if this Digimon has Insectoid in its traits, gain 1,000 power. That's it. Only on your turn, incidentally, not on your opponents. On your opponents, you won't gain that power. It's a very standard skill. There's nothing particularly amazing about it. It's not one you're going to be running around shouting and boasting about. Gaining 1,000 power is pretty standard for Digitama, honestly. It's kind of what they do. But if you're playing an Insectoid deck, this will give you that extra 1,000 power. It's a nice little bonus. Great? No. No one's arguing it's great. Interesting and fun? Yeah. Yeah, that we can have a chat about, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds pretty good to me. So there we go. Lots of new insects and a Digitama. Things are good. But now I want to hear from you guys. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.